Alright, so we just finished up at the engineer's. I just spent half a day with him going over all the checklists that he needed. A few things to note. He was very happy with how everything was constructed. We went over these booklets, right? Oh, let me grab the front of this one. So this is one book that we went over, and here's another one. And the only things that I need to change are really things that aren't a big deal. Like, for example, I just need the master cylinder. I've got to put it up by 5mm, within 5mm, just because it's a bit low, and we want to get that push rod to be going in the proper way. The clutch arm, that's just so that that's just to make the clutch pedal a little bit lighter, to shorten it so it's not as hard. The torsion bars are more for me to adjust, because the suspension's sitting really low and I want it to sit higher than it's sitting. And then the only other issue is I have to put 2 bars. So underneath the engine there's 2 engine mounts, there's 2 bolts which go to the engine, and what I want to do is I need to run a pipe or a tube off either one and loop it back around to the upper bar that's just under the fiberglass, just so that isn't as wobbly as it is at the moment. It's not a big deal. It's just more like, it's more of a comfort thing. Oh, I think my tow truck is here, so I'm just gonna move over. And let me jump out so the tow truck driver knows. Okay, I have the trike back home, and let's go over the things that I need to change. The engineer said that the frame, because of the thickness and the size of this pipe, that it's perfect. There's nothing he wants to change, there's nothing he wants to reinforce. So my first thing I need to do is I need to shorten this arm. So I need to make this clutch, where the clutch cable connects here, I need to move it up. That'll make this a little bit better, and what it will do is it'll make the clutch a bit easier to press in. The other thing I need to do is add some steering stoppers here. Then moving on down to the back of the trike, what I need to do is I need to kind of reinforce this a little bit. So what I was going to do is I was going to run a pipe from the engine mount, like a bolt on, like I'll put a plate where the engine mount is, then I'll weld a pipe to that, and I'll weld it to here, and that'll stiffen this up a little bit, and it'll just add like it'll add 2 pipes which I can then run a bumper off the back. So that's another thing. The other thing I want to do is, I don't know if you can see this, but the bump stops, the torsion bar isn't adjusted correctly, and the bump stops are touching the top of the suspension where the shock absorber is. So I really need to crank the ride height up. Apart from that, I think that was it. So the clutch cable, the engine cage, half cage at the back, the steering stoppers, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, that's it for this part. That took about all day, from 8:30 till, what is it now, 3 o'clock. It's been a nice slow day, but holy shit, it's just boring.